Welcome back to KWVA's coverage of NAB 2014. I'm Untermeyer, he's Joey McMurray. We are from KWVA, the University of Oregon student radio station. This is day 3 recap of NAB 2014. Joey, over the past 3 days, I'll just put it lightly, we've been on our feet for a long time. We've seen a lot of really cool technological advances down here in Las Vegas. It's been a really fun experience.
It has been a really fun experience. You know, this is not the last day of the actual trade show. The last day is tomorrow, but we've actually seen it all. And we thought that yesterday we were done looking at the radio stuff, which is really what we're down here for. Thought that we'd be able to spend all day today pretty much looking around at some cool stuff and drooling, which we did get to that in a second, but we actually went back and checked in on a couple other radio things. We went to SAS, which is another board manufacturer, also saw a couple microphones, and SAS also using the network protocols to go and do their sort of audio, but it's not quite to the extreme as a Wheatstone or a Lava, which we saw yesterday and the day before. But we also went back to Wheatstone, clarified a couple things with them to make sure that we were on the same page to go back and make an educated decision about the future for KWVA during the EMU renovation.
Still a lot of things that we have to consider before we go and make that decision, but I feel like over the past 3 days we have learned just about as much as we possibly could have with all of this new advancement in voice over IP and IP protocol and just audio networking for the most part, and that's really what it is. You know, somebody said it really good today that your Cisco router is now nothing more than an audio router. It's just taking your inputs and your outputs and telling them where to go, and that is definitely the way that this industry is moving in a lot of different directions. So it's going to be really exciting to see how we're able to implement that into the new KWVA studio when it opens in 2016. We were then able to kind of step aside and let our inner geeks come out a little bit. This convention has so much to offer to so many different people. We spent those first few days really focusing on that radio and pro audio section, but after lunch this afternoon we got a chance to step outside and go look at the outdoor and the broadcast production trucks. And man, was that really pretty cool, because we've seen a lot of these being around Eugene, all the sporting events that come in, but really all we see is the closed doors and the satellites. So being able to step into those was something else.
Yeah, we got to tour a couple different ones, couple different options, if you will, and man, those things are massive in terms of the amount of screens that the director is looking at and all the different audio mixing and boards. Really a cool experience. We also got to see one pretty cool, actually a physical truck, looks like a big pickup truck that has a camera mount and a giant swivel on it, and man, you could do a lot of cool stuff with that. And after we walked around outside, then we actually went back to the startup area, and this is really cool. It's part of the Sprocket organization, where there's actually a bunch of different startups here at NAB. We got to chat with some guys from Videolicious who we talked to on Monday, talked with them a little bit more, and there's a lot of really cool applications out there. Also got a chance to talk with a couple other startups that could help us out in a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of cool stuff out there in just these small booths that are actually about the size of this table that these guys were displaying things on.
Some of the really cool things about these startup companies is they're very willing to share their product with you. And a few of them that we talked to, they said, you know, we're not married to any of these ideas that we currently have. We want that user feedback. We want to get this out into the market, but we want something that eventually is going to work and is going to work in the best way possible. So they're learning just as much as we are at these things. They value the input that the attendees are able to give them, and they really appreciate that give and take relationship. So it's cool to kind of work with those guys, and you know, they have these ideas, but you know, when you're sitting at one idea for 6 years, sometimes you miss those things, and I think they get just about as much out of these conventions that we do.
Yeah, I think they do too, and that's why it was kind of cool to interact with them, and they tend to be a little bit of the younger crowd too, so we sort of connected with them a little bit. And after that, we made our stroll over to the final section of NAB, which was the North Hall. Had a lot of those management systems, as they call them. Cisco was one that was there. It's a lot of those company names that maybe you don't know exactly what they are, but you know that they exist. It was a lot of those companies as we were strolling through. But now, I think it's time for the final recap, if you will, of our time here at NAB, the best of segment.
All right, so here's how we're going to do this. We have 5 categories that we have voted on. We have thought hard at them. We have crunched the numbers on these.
And by voted on, we mean he and I basically 5 minutes ago figured all this out.
Anyway, we have our 5 finalists, our 5 winners. We will start with best floor. So the booths at all of these events are very elaborate. These companies put a lot of effort into having the best booth. It really is what draws you into their booth.
Yep.
Our winner of NAB 2014's best floor is
Sennheiser. You could literally eat off of this floor, and it gets better. It was bright white, looks like it could have been an LED light that we were walking on, actually a floor, and they had guys come in at 5 in the morning before each day to polish the floor.
It was really something else. The first reaction that I had when I walked into it was my feet were sticking to the floor because it was really that clean and that shiny.
Yeah. Now, number 2, best booth at NAB. That goes to
Canon. Canon Professional Services, CPS, had a really, really, really cool setup. They had about 4 different sets that were built in the middle of their booth. Anything from a cooking show to a mock documentary to a nature show. They had about 4 different booths set up, and completely surrounding it, they had all of their Canon optics set up for you to test. So one of the coolest things that we got the opportunity to do was climb up this pedestal, a camera deck, and on one level they had all of their broadcast cameras that you see through the sporting events, their lenses, excuse me, they were on Grass Valley cameras, and you got to kind of play around with those and zoom in on them and see that. And then you got to go back up one more level where they had all their professional DSLRs, a lot of those things that you see on the sidelines of sporting events with their 400, 600, and 800 millimeter lenses on them. And those things, they look like telescopes.
They really do, and it was really cool to get in and focus up, zoom in, and taking about 13 pictures per second when you click on the shutter. Really cool stuff.
Now there are more than just the look that goes into making the best booth. So our third category is Best Booth Hospitality. The winner of the Best Booth Hospitality Award for NAB 2014 is
Lavo, the company that we've talked about a little bit, the German-based company that makes a lot of audio boards as well as some video stuff and other solutions. That's kind of been the buzzword that we've heard, is it's a solution to do something for the customer. Lavo, though, man, we felt right at home. We walk in, within a couple seconds, someone was asking us for questions, and it wasn't, let me tell you about the product. It was, what are your questions about this? What are you trying to do? So I appreciated that up front, and then it got a little bit better. After we were really interested and went back and forth, a gentleman named Axel, went back and forth with him a lot, got really enthused both ways, I would say, for the technology that we were looking at. Then the VP of Sales, Michael, brought us inside their little coffee bar. They had what we've affectionately deemed a sales barista. We got espresso brought to us at this booth. That was something else.
And one of the really cool things about these, there are a lot of booths that have kind of a separate sitting area established in it, and that's extremely important because you're walking around this event and you're on your feet the entire day. To be able to sit down, especially with somebody who's going to answer a lot of those questions and be comfortable while you do so, is amazing.
It was great. Now, number 4. Now, this one is a little bit different. We're kind of going away for a second. Best meal. We'll come back to NAB in a second with our favorite other thing. But best meal in Vegas goes to
Rock and Roll Sushi.
Yeah.
An all-you-can-eat sushi bar about 2 blocks from our hotel room, recommended by our general manager, Charlotte Nisser.
Thanks,
Thank
Charlotte.
you for that one. It was truly amazing. And, you know, you think of this sushi bar in Vegas. Scary thought. But it really wasn't. It was a very nice environment. They were making all the sushi as you ordered it, so it wasn't you walk through a line and that California roll looks like it's a few hours old.
Yeah.
It was you sit down, here's the list of sushi. Probably the best roll that we had was this fried crab roll. Excuse me, this fried salmon roll that had salmon on top of the roll.
Yeah, they called
cool.
it the baked salmon, and it was freshly baked salmon laid on top of the sushi. It was great. Now, number 5. This one is, I think, what everyone kind of thinks about at NAB. Best piece of technology. Now, we went back and forth on this one for quite a while, but our 5th and final category for the Best ofs NAB 2014, the best piece of technology is
a processing computer made by a film and production company. They call the computer the devil. And this thing really is something else. 868 gigabytes
of
RAM inside of this machine. Now, For those of you who don't know what that is, that's a lot. It also has 21 different CPU processors inside of it. That also is very, very crazy.
To put this in perspective, if you're sitting there watching on your laptop right now or on your MacBook Pro, whatever, this is roughly, doing the math fast in my head, about 860 times more powerful than what's in your lap right now.
But they also share that category with another company, one who has done something that may not seem that cool from the outside, but is really one of the most useful pieces of software advancement that we see in the media today.
Yeah, Fairlight was one that they now have the ability with their software to take a snapshot of a recording that is in progress, and then you can edit that snapshot while the recording is still going. So we do a lot of sporting events recordings. Well, you can actually edit what is still being recorded, and it's a really great practical application so that you can actually get things done faster.
So there you go. The 5 bests from NAB 2014 according to AJ Untermeyer and Joey McMurry. Now, it's been an absolute blast. We would like to thank the University of Oregon for sending us down here. It's been an absolute pleasure to come down here and do all this research for this studio that we do have coming. I think we take so many things away.
We do, and we did get a couple people going, oh, the O, when we were wearing our KWVA polos. So it actually is out there, and it helped us out a little bit to be from the U of O. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I think that we're leaving here with a lot more knowledge than we had when we got here to make some good decisions for the future of the station.
And that's ultimately what this entire trip was about. So all in all, it was a fantastic trip. We're here until tomorrow morning. We'll be back in Eugene tomorrow after that. And that's when the real decision making and the collaboration and the crunching through all of these documentations and literature that we have gotten from these companies, the follow-up conversations then start to happen. So the journey isn't over. The journey has really just begun, but it's been a fun one. We thank you for following along with us. You can go back and recap everything that happened on Twitter. Use the hashtag AJ and Joey go to NAB in Vegas. That'll do it from Las Vegas. For Joey McMurray, I'm AJ Untermeyer. For KWVA, we're signing off. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.